So I want to read you something from an atheist, non-Christian writer. This is from a guy named Ernest Becker in his book, The Denial of Death from the 1970s. It was a Pulitzer Prize-winning book, and this guy, not a Christian, not even religious, and he had some pretty interesting insight on this issue. So this is what he's talking about. He's talking about how modern-day people have largely left God on the periphery. The secular mind has normally, we just kind of moved God. Like maybe there's a God out there somewhere, but probably not, and when you die, it's probably just, it's over. Like you die, you're dead. So that's the way a lot of people believe today, right? That's the secular view. So this is a secular person describing what that's done to us. He said about the modern secular person, he wrote this: he, the modern secular person, still needed, after they've lost God, they still need to feel heroic, to know that their life matters in the scheme of things. They still had to merge themselves with some higher, self-absorbing meaning in trust and gratitude. If he no longer had God, how was he to do this? One of the first ways that occurred to modern man was something called the romantic solution. Now listen to this. From an atheist, the self-glorification that he needed in his innermost nature, he now looked for in the love partner. The love partner becomes the divine ideal within which to fulfill one's life. All spiritual and moral needs now become focused in one individual. In one word, the love object is God. This is from an atheist. Amazing insight from an atheist. So we've lost God in our culture, so we've replaced God. And the number one replacement for God is romance and romantic relationships and sexuality. That's what we've done. We put that in the place of God. And now we are bowing down to romance, and we're obsessed with it. So I'm probably not going to actually read any of the lyrics right now, but I have a couple song lyrics I had kind of printed out, but I won't take the time to read it. But if you just look at the top 50 songs right now on iTunes, and you just read the lyrics of you got to be careful reading the lyrics, but you just read the lyrics of the top 50 songs, how many of them are saying that their life's meaning and joy and purpose is bound up in a sexual partner? How many songs are saying that? I mean, I was asking Kelly and I were looking through some lyrics last night. We just read Coldplay, just Coldplay lyrics. And the new one is talking about him saying, drink from me, find your all in me. You'll raise me up into the heavens. I'm misquoting it. But it's called a hymn. The song is called a hymn. And it's actually written as though the romantic partner is your God figure. And y'all know the really crass song from a year ago about Take Me to Church. Remember this song? The age gap was just discovered right there. If you're under the age of 30, you know what I'm talking about. It was like you walk into Barbaritos, this thing was playing on the speakers, and he basically, in the song, he says, take me to church, I will worship like a dog at the throne of your lives, or whatever, talking about his girlfriend. And the whole song is putting his girlfriend in the place of God, and sleeping with his girlfriend was going to church. And he said, take me to church. And the whole song was putting romance in the place of God without even apologizing, just there it is. So our culture today has become obsessed with this issue of romance, sexuality, and that's why every song, every movie seems to be laced with this stuff. I mean, the most explicit and awful stuff we've got going in our culture is coming through those channels, okay? And think about even the explicit lyrics. When we talk about like really negative lyrics, they're usually sexual in nature because that's our new God. Now, I've heard atheists say, including Christopher Hitchens, the late Christopher Hitchens, he said, how stupid is it that you guys have a law in your Bible, one of the 10 commandments that says you can't blaspheme God. And it could even be capital punishment in the Old Testament to blaspheme and use the name of God in vain. And he goes, that's just dumb. I heard multiple non-Christians saying that if you only had 10 laws to govern an entire country, why would one of your 10 laws be don't murder and don't steal? That makes sense. Why would one of your top 10 national laws be careful how you use God's name? That just sounds silly. And then I heard another person respond and say, I know it sounds crazy that we had blasphemy laws in the Old Testament. It sounds crazy to many people. But then I heard this other pastor say back, we have blasphemy laws in our secular culture as well. What does that mean? He said, I could get myself arrested in any major city in the United States this afternoon just by using sexually derogatory terms towards certain groups of people, right? We have blasphemy laws in our country as well, and you'll go to jail. And in fact, if you're a famous actor like Jonah Hill, Jonah Hill used a derogatory term toward a particular group of people, sexually speaking, and he had to go on Jimmy Fallon's show and apologize for 5 minutes in tears, saying, I'm so sorry I used that word. Now, I am not in favor of that word, and I'm glad he apologized for it. That's not at all, I'm not supporting using that word. What I'm saying is our culture also has blasphemy laws attached to our God. You get what I'm saying? And if you violate the blasphemy laws in our culture, you have to go on Jimmy Fallon and apologize in tears, or you're going to be kicked off the network TV show. You're not going to be hired in a movie because you blasphemed our God. So do you see what we've done? We've taken the God of the Bible, moved him out to the side, and we've put the God of sexuality and romance at the center, and everything in our world about being elated, being successful, being happy, transcendent moments are all tied into that idol. And Jacob here is a sitting duck for that same thing.